Hi, this is Joel from PressFriendly, and today we're joined by Martin Kessler of Ambiclimate, and Martin joins us all the way from Hong Kong. Hi, Martin. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. So, what we wanted to talk today about was how to do a successful crowdfunding campaign, and you are still in the thick of a crowdfunding campaign.
Right.
A few days left, what, like less than 2 weeks left?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but already successful. So already met your goal and already doing some great things. So what I wanted to talk to you about was just sort of what are the tips and tricks for people who are looking to build their own crowdfunding campaign? You know, what maybe rather than giving them advice, sort of talk about what you did, and obviously it's been successful, so it'd be some interesting learnings for them. Let's talk a little bit about platforms, since you have basically you did two crowdfunding campaigns on different platforms.
Yeah, that's right. So back in July, we actually launched on a new crowdfunding platform from Singapore. It's called Crowdivate, and the reason why we were going for it is because our product's actually geared towards more of an Asian audience because it's an Internet of Things device that works with infrared-controlled air conditioners, which are, you know, ubiquitous in all over Asia. Basically, every household in Asia is using one of these. Whereas, like in America, most people actually use central air.
Yeah, no, that
So
makes
we were,
sense.
yeah. So we were using them, but they were a new platform, and it totally didn't go off. I think we only raised, I think, less than 12,000 US dollar in 50 days, and then we just, we had to call and say, look, guys, this failed. We have to go back to the drawing board and think about something else. And that's when we went to Kickstarter 2 months after.
Cool. So, what do you think the difference is between different platforms in terms of their reach or how to approach things? It definitely seems like there are differences, but I'm not really sure what they are. What do you think the differences are?
Well, so the two major platforms are Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And I think the main difference is really that Kickstarter is very much geared towards a maker audience and people, who like consumer stuff. And Kickstarter, they actually vet almost every project. So they actually take great care that your product is real. You need to have a functional prototype. You need to demonstrate that it's working. And it seems like there's more trust behind the platform. Whereas Indiegogo is more open. They accept almost every project. It doesn't have to be vetted. But on the other hand, Indiegogo, they're also more hands-on, so they actually have their own PR team. They look at your campaign and they kind of push you out in the newsletter if your project is good enough, which doesn't really happen that all too often with Kickstarter, for instance. And another major difference is that Indiegogo, they also support a referral system. So if you have a product that works very well, that is very mainstream, it can go viral using Indiegogo, because like your backers, they get like a commission, they get like a few dollars off their pledge, and return, you get more backers, which is a win-win situation, right?
Yep.
But
It,
Kickstarter, all in all, is still the bigger platform, so most of the bigger success stories you still see on Kickstarter, but it isn't unheard of to have like a $1 million project now on Indiegogo.
yeah, no, it seems like Kickstarter still drives a lot of
Yeah,
organic traffic just from people on the site looking around and finding things like that. It's not necessarily, you're not responsible for all the traffic there, as
exactly.
opposed to other places. So, okay, cool. So, one of the reasons why we're talking is talking about getting press for your Kickstarter. And what did you do how did you go about getting press for Kickstarter? Because obviously, the wider the reach of your campaign, the more likely to be successful.
Well, so getting press is not really something that you should just do after you hit the launch button on your crowdfunding campaign. It's really something that takes a lot of prep work. What is really important is that you build relationships. I can't stress this enough. Like, you should do it as early as possible. You can easily do it like through Twitter by just identifying influencers who could be talking about your product, or journalists who could be talking about your product, and you just follow them. You can engage with them. It can be as easy as favoriting their tweets, or it can be as helping them out when they need help with like an article. or something like that, and it kind of helps you like to stay in their mindset, and it later on helps you to get press as well. But this is just really one of the things that you should be doing all the time. But for us, before the crowdfunding campaign, I think we started about a month in advance with you guys.
Yep.
And you've been actually great in helping us to figure out what makes us newsworthy. So when we first were considering our launch, we weren't quite sure how do we pitch it. Is it just another crowdfunding launch? And then we actually figured out there's actually more to that. It's not crowdfunding. We should not pitch the crowdfunding angle because that's not really new anymore. There's a bazillion of different crowdfunding projects these days. And what we should rather do is concentrate on what makes our product so special. Why do people want to read about it? What's like the angle for users? So that's one of the angles. Like, what's the benefit for people that back our device? What do they get out of it? Then the technical angle, what makes it so special? So we had the machine learning behind it. And of course, there can also be the founder story, how we're based in Hong Kong. That worked very well for local press. That's something we use, for instance, in Hong Kong because we're based in Hong Kong, but also for some Asia press, like in Tech in Asia, where basically Tech in Asia, they covered us, how we failed on Crowdivate and how we actually succeeded on Kickstarter. So there can be different angles to your story, but it's important that you think about it and you identify who might want to write about me. So for us, that was mainly tech press in the beginning, but also for tech press, there's like different journalists that cover different niches, right? So we're very much in the smart home, gadget kind of sector, so you kind of have to look like who's been covering, let's say, other smart home products or Internet of Things devices or gadgets overall, and who's been covering crowdfunding. And you guys, you actually do a lot of that, so this actually saved us a lot of time. And I think this is really important because you don't want to go for a spray and pray approach where you just, email like 2,000 different journalists. If you do that, you may end up being blacklisted actually by quite a few journalists for spamming them. Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I mean, that's what we've always sort of talked with people is even if this is a crowdfunding campaign and even if this is the first time, you want to build that relationship and you want to go out to the right reporters and you want to really sort of identify that story.
Yeah.
And yeah, usually the crowdfunding platform you're on or the fact that you're doing a fundraising really isn't central to what people are interested in. What they care about is who the builder is, what they're making, and how soon can they get it and how can it make their lives better. And Ambiclimate is awesome. I mean, basically taking a dumb air conditioner and making it smart. Obviously, that's something that really responded well. So what was sort of the press coverage you got for that?
So we got covered, by TechCrunch, Engadget, 9to5Mac, BGR. We also got covered by Gizmac because they usually cover a lot of different crowdfunding projects. But we've also actually got some international press. For instance, like air conditioners, as I said, they were very popular in Japan. So we got also covered by some Japanese press, such as Gizmodo Japan, and also some other press in like Engadget Taiwan, for instance, because obviously in Taiwan people also use a lot of infrared controlled air conditioners.
Yep.
So we had actually a wide array of tech press, and now we're actually trying to get some more press from interior home blogs as well as parenting blogs, because Ambiclimate is also a device that can easily help you, for homeowners as well as people, who want to take care of their baby when they're not at home or of their pets, so they can kind of keep control of the climate in their rooms when they're not there.
Yep. No, that's great. And hopefully they're leaving their dog at home when they're not allowed, not their baby. That's cool. So, no, and that's definitely the way that tech press, you go to the tech press first, and then you go to the broader community press and things like that. So that's awesome. So what are some other things you do apart from identifying the platform you want to use and getting press? What are the other things you can do to make your campaign successful? What about like community? Yeah,
so getting press is only really one part of the story. It's actually harder to get press if you don't do the community work. What do I mean by community work? definitely helps to build your community beforehand. So what I recommend is to have at least, a website up and running where you have a landing page that explains your product, where people can sign up for a newsletter, so you can start building your newsletter list, because that will really help you to make a big push on the first day. Because ideally, you want to hit at least 20, if not 50 or 100% of your project goal on your first day. This definitely helps you, to convey to journalists, hey, this is a successful project, but also helps to convey to prospective backers. They will see it's becoming successful, and it also helps you to rank very well on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, because obviously it's a popular project, and it's relatively easy to get like a lot of backers on the first or second day, whereas it's a lot harder to get like a lot of daily backers over like a period of 20 days, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did for community is there's a number of different things that you can do as well to grow your community. So one of the things that we did was running a WooBox competition. So we were giving away a wearable device, Job One Up, and this actually allowed us, to grow a mailing list, because people had to sign up with their email and they had to share it on Facebook. So I think we gathered about 1,000 emails, and all it cost us was like $130 to run this promotion, and it was an easy and effective way for us to grow a mailing list. And obviously, these people, they were also interested in smart home devices, because there's obviously a fit between these two products.
Yep.
And what else did we do? So besides growing your community, you should not forget your own network. So everyone has, friends, acquaintances, or even ex-girlfriends that you can talk about with your project, right?
No.
And a good way of doing that is first, letting all your friends know, all your close friends, do it personally. Send them personal emails. So I sent out, I think, over 100 personal emails in 2 weeks in advance of our project, just asking for feedback. Look, we have this new campaign. Here's a preview link on our Kickstarter. Can you have a look at it and share a few words of how we can make it better? And this actually helped us a lot to refine the messaging of our campaign page. But it also, planted a seed in their mind. Hey, there's my friend. He's actually building up this crowdfunding campaign, and this might actually be an interesting project for me. And of course, it wasn't the only email that I sent them, so that kind of, just got the engagement going, and I managed to engage quite a few people through that way. It's not really scalable, but it's very effective in terms of like conversion rates. What you can also do is to export all your Gmail contacts, your LinkedIn, even your Facebook contacts, and that gives you a lot of different emails. And you can use like clever tools like Gmail Mail Merge, which allows you to have a semi-personalized email sent out to up to 100 people every day. And that's what I also did to just get the word out about our project, because it's really important that you let now as many people as possible. And there's a bunch of other things that you can do, like creating a Facebook event so people actually get a notification that your project is launching. What else did we do?
What did you do from like a social media perspective? Anything special on that side?
Well, from a social media perspective, there's actually a clever tool. It's called Thunderclap, which actually allows you to make a coordinated social media effort. So basically, you can have one message, and you can have people sign up with their Twitter or Facebook on Thunderclap and back your Thunderclap. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain moment of time, it's a time point that you can set yourself. This message will go out through everyone's Twitter and Facebook, and this actually allows your message to really be heard by this entire network. So we did that for our launch day, and we had like a social reach of 115,000 people. Okay. And I've seen projects that have been doing that even got like 500,000 people in terms of like social reach, or like 1 million. So it really depends on how many people you can get to sign up with Thunderclap. But it can be a really useful tool to actually make yourself heard on your first day. And I can't stress this enough, like the first day is really the most important day for your crowdfunding campaign.
Okay. So the first day is important, and then you're going along, and you're now in week 3 or week 4. What else can you do to sort of supplement a campaign and keep it going strong?
Well, I would definitely recommend to keep your backers engaged. So obviously there will be questions. Ideally, you want to be answering these as soon as possible, usually with a few hours, because it usually gives backers a red flag if like the project creator doesn't really respond within the first day. that is kind of sloppy. If he's already that slow on the first day, it usually sets off a lot of red flags for people. Aside of that, you should, keep posting updates, provide new information about the product, answer some mostly asked questions in some project updates, or you can also, give like more background info on the team. Of course, if you have already hit your goal, you should be thinking about stretch goals, because this is like another tool that keeps your backers engaged. Because obviously, after you've reached your goal, a lot of people come back and like, hey, you already reached your goals. Like, why should you even be making more money? There's nothing that we can get out of this. So people want to get something out of it. So it's definitely wise to think about what else can you offer them to make this campaign more successful, so it stays like in this win-win kind of situation.
Yeah, no. And what about advertising? Did you do any paid advertising?
Oh yeah, we did paid advertising. We actually made a big push for the first few days as well. So we used Google Display Network, we used Facebook ads, and of course we also retargeted our ads through Perfect Audience. So Facebook ads is actually a very useful tool, because you can specifically target people that are interested in Kickstarter or crowdfunding or gadgets, or that read something like Engadget or The Verge. So this is basically, these are like early tech adopters, right? So this is your target group if you have a gadget. So this actually allows you to get your product out there and get some additional reach. Unfortunately, with Kickstarter, you can't track conversions, so it's a bit hard to optimize it for conversions. But if you go out for maximum reach, which I recommend for the first 3 or 4 days, Facebook and Google Ads is definitely a good way to extend your reach to people that you haven't reached already.
Okay, awesome. So I think you've already given us lots of good advice. Any sort of last tidbits of wisdom, looking back on what you've been doing and what you're going to be closing up with next week?
You shouldn't underestimate the time and effort it takes. I always, because this is not my first crowdfunding campaign that I'm running, I always have people that come to me, but then it's usually too late because they've already launched the campaign and they haven't taken enough time into it. Crowdfunding has become very, I would say, professionalized. So that means you need to have a perfect video, you need to have high-res professional photos. You can't just take photos with your iPhone camera, for instance. It will look sloppy, and people won't really take you serious anymore in these days. What else? You should definitely also make an effort throughout the campaign, especially when it comes to press outreach. When I had my first crowdfunding campaign, I only did press outreach for the first few days, and that's it. Which was, in hindsight 22, was a mistake, because there's always press out there. You just need to think, like, what other angles do I have? So right now, as I've been saying, we're now pitching it to interior home blogs and, some other parenting blogs, because these blogs, they don't necessarily have heard about you because you've been already covered by tech press. So this can give you a different reach to people, to a completely different audience that might be interested in your Kickstarter.
Yep, no, that sounds like great advice. So I know it's early morning over there, Martin, so thanks a lot for
thanks for having me.
Joining us, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Joel.
Take care.
Take it easy.